Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to this impromptu off-the-cuff video that I'm doing here. This is basically just a channel announcement type video telling you guys what you can expect in the new year on Nathan on Shuffle. Maybe a little bit of a recap of what last year was like here, and looking forward to some of the big albums coming out and the big stuff in Prog that I'm aware of at least, and some stuff that could impact the channel and what I do here. So I don't want to bury the lead here. I want to talk about the main thing that I'm doing in the new year, the big new project that I'm hoping will excite a lot of you guys. Last year, I really focused a lot on new music. I reviewed like 100 plus new albums in progressive rock throughout the year with those new album spotlights, but also with my shorter new prog recommendation shows as well. You know, it was just a great chance for me to dive into new music, and that's still a focus of the channel and something I'm really excited about. But I feel like the focus on new prog maybe left a little bit of focus away from the old school prog, which is what a lot of my channel was built on in the beginning, what a lot of people loved about the Jana React stuff, of looking at old classic prog songs and getting a new, fresh reaction to them. And I have been brainstorming how to bring back a little bit of that classic prog flavor, but not sacrifice the new prog recommendations, which have brought a lot of new people in who like hearing my recommendations and who like sharing in the excitement of the modern prog scene, which is definitely very important to me. So what I've decided to do for the channel for this year is I've picked out 12 classic progressive rock bands that I absolutely love, the big 12, so to speak. In my mind, these are like the big seminal 12 prog bands, at least from my perspective as a prog fan, but I think many of you will agree that this is a pretty solid list of some of the classic bands of the genre. And I'm going to feature and spotlight one of them per month and do a couple of shows around these classic prog bands and really celebrate them and talk about them in depth as much as I'm able to with my schedule and so forth. So for January, we're in January already. The band this month is going to be Jethro Tull, as you can tell by some of the albums behind me. I thought this would be a good place to start. Basically, there's going to be a handful of shows based around the band of the month, so to speak. The first theme show that we'll do is Jen and I will do one of our classic prog song Sundays to one of the big songs by this band that we haven't covered yet on the show. So it'll go away a little bit from our randomized format for Prog Song Sunday, but I'm actually going to pick and choose one song per month that coincides with the big prog band that we're featuring and cover some of the big classic prog tracks that we haven't yet got to. Some epics, some just really notable prog songs that just haven't come up in our shuffle yet. And I think that's going to be a fun way to cover some of these big prog anthems that we haven't really been able to get to yet. So that's pretty exciting. You'll see some of these big name songs that maybe you've been expecting but haven't hit the shuffle yet, and I think a lot of fans will be excited for that. I'm going to be doing a show called Beginner's Guide to the band, Beginner's Guide to Jethro Tull this month, where I talk basically about kind of give an introduction to the band for anyone that might be new to them or, you know, or just curious about dabbling into this band. It's kind of geared towards people who might not know about the band and who might stumble upon the video, you know, might be interested in discovering about a new band and see where to start with them. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about my journey with the band, talk about some recommendations of where to start, like what's a good album or song to start with if it's a new band to you. And I'm hoping in the comments for some of the more seasoned fans like you guys who are probably watching this video, you could, you know, give comments and commentary about what you would say to a new fan of the band, say to someone who's just coming in as a fresh listener, and give maybe some of your perspective as a fan of the band. But I'm trying to bring a little bit of a perspective of someone who didn't necessarily grow up in the 70s and experience these bands in person, but is coming in as a new guy, you know, discovering this a little bit later after the scene has taken place, and how some of these new listeners might approach it who are of a similar age as me and who are wanting to dabble into progressive rock. I've had a few subscribers tell me in comments, like, do you have a playlist? Do you have a video you can point me to that could help introduce me to some of these prog bands you talk about? So I thought this could be a good way to introduce people to these bands. And if you're already a fan, I would check out the video also just to get a little bit of a history of my experience with the band and see what I would say is some of the best starting points for their discography. I'm also going to do an album ranking show for each of these bands. That's going to be one of the premiere shows for each month. Is I'm really delving deep into these catalogs, listening to all the albums. There's some I haven't heard yet or that I need to do a deeper dive on to really assess. I'm going to try to keep these ranking shows a little bit shorter than my ranking shows have been in the past. Some of these bands, like Jethro Tull, I've already done a ranking video of, so it'll be more of an update to the ranking or re-highlighting some of the ranking that I did in the prior show, pointing you to that video. Reassessing, like for Jethro Tull, for instance, they have a new album since I ranked their last one, Rock Float, is not in my ranking, so I can slot that in where I think it belongs. So a couple of cool things that can be done there. And then finally, what I'm calling an album study, where me and Jana are going to be studying one of their most premier classic albums together. It's somewhat of a replacement for Classic Albums 101 that we did the past couple years. I felt like those shows weren't really hitting as well for a lot of people. I'm not quite sure why. I felt like I got some of the most negative commentary on those compared to other videos. They didn't get watched as much in some instances. I think there's some confusion because we'd react to a song and then, would talk about the album after, and some people were thinking that it would be a full album listen, not necessarily just a discussion. So there's a lot tricky there, but me and Jana really loved listening to albums together. That was the whole point of the show, was to allow for Jana to listen more to the album as a format when usually she just listens to playlists and songs more casually. So it was a really good experience for us. So we wanted to keep doing it in some way, and I thought a cool way to do that would be to highlight some of these classic prog albums that she can hear in full and get the full context rather than just the piecemeal song at a time that we do through Prog Song Sunday. And the first album that we'll be covering this month is going to be Aqualung, which we've reacted to the song Aqualung, but she hasn't heard the full album, and I think that could be a cool experience for her. So that's what to expect with this whole prog band per month idea. I wanted to spend quite some time on it just to get you guys acclimated with what to expect with it. And I hope you guys are excited. Let me know in the comments like what bands you think might be covered, or maybe suggestions if I want to tweak things a little bit, if I see a lot of support for certain prog bands that might not be in my list of 12 bands. But I'm hoping it'll be a fun way to highlight this classic prog that I'm just such a huge fan of, and I want to bring attention towards and to just celebrate for those who already love it and are excited about it like I am. So, but like I said, I don't want the focus to move away from modern prog, also from the newer prog bands that are coming out with material now. So I'm still going to have my staple shows of New Music Weekly on Fridays or Saturdays, depending on my schedule, and then new album spotlights once a week, where I talk about a new album in depth and give a review of something coming out. And it may be a slow start to this year. There's not usually a lot of albums coming out right at the beginning of the year, so there may be several weeks at the start of the year here that I skip new album spotlight, but I'm sure it'll be ramping up at some point, and there'll be a lot to talk about. So I'm really excited to get into that and have a lot of new albums to talk about. There's, just looking at a list of upcoming albums that I have here, Neil Morse comes out with his Joseph Part 2 album next week, so that'll have a review very soon. Caligula's Horse, Charcoal Grace, comes out in later January, which is on my list here to talk about. I've been listening to it. I have a promo copy that I'm excited to talk about. A band that's a little more obscure that I want to talk about as well, Kairos, is coming out with Mannequin in February 2nd. We've got The Pineapple Thief with It Leads to This on February 9th. We've got Steve Hackett's The Circus and the Night Whale on the 16th of February. We've got Dirt Poor Robins, a band that's very special to me that I've talked about on the channel, coming out with Firebird at the end of February. And Big Big Train coming out on March 1st with The Likes of Us. A great new record, their first on Inside Out, that I'm excited to hear and to talk about when it comes out. So those are some of probably the early new album spotlights you can come to expect. I'm also hoping for a lot of new albums by some bands that have been working on material for quite some time that I'm hoping will be released in this year. Fido has teased material. He actually, it felt like it was going to come out fall last year, but he's been very quiet lately about new material, so I'm not sure what's happening with his new album, but maybe it'll come out in this year. The Deer Hunter have that Sunya project still in the works. Hopefully that comes out. More on Police. They had an incredible album a few years back that really sparked a lot of prog interest. They should have a follow-up this year, I hope. Frost has been teasing a new album, Life in the Wires, that should come out this year as well. Echolin have been long teasing a new album they've been working towards. That should come out this year. There's a new project from Arjen Lucassen called Plan 9 that should be coming out this year as well. The Long Lost Songs with collaborator Robert Soderboek. Should be some cool stuff. There's some other bands that I'm hoping will come out with material, but there's nothing really being talked about or in the works, so don't want to wildly speculate. But those are some of the artists and some of the albums that I'm expecting and hoping will come out this year. So yeah, 2023 was a good year for the channel. It was a lot of fun. I loved the focus on new music. Those year-end shows were a lot of fun to do. And so I'm hoping you guys have enjoyed the content. I felt like the growth of the channel slowed a little bit in 2023 compared to 2022, which is probably a direct consequence of focusing more on new music and more obscure bands that aren't going to bring in a whole host of new people to the channel, when before, the Jana Reacts stuff was really driving a lot of the numbers up and a lot of the subscribers. And I rebranded the show Jana Reacts into Prog Song Sunday because I felt it more accurately described what we were doing. It's not really so much about the reaction, but more so about playing a prog song together, promoting the genre of prog. But I think not having the hooky title of Reacts in the videos made it not get as much attention from the reaction video community at large, which is unfortunate, but, maybe it's better in some ways because I'm getting more dedicated subscribers who actually care about progressive rock music and aren't just random reaction fans. Maybe it's streamlining the channel to people who are really dedicated and devoted to this style of music and to the stuff that I really enjoy. So, you have to kind of weigh out those things, because I've been watching other channels grow and thrive doing other things. And, sometimes it's hard for me to not feel jealous about their growth and their prospects, and that a lot of my subscribers are moving towards their channels and things like that. But, I just have to do what I love and what I feel confident about and what I'm passionate about. I don't want to just make a bunch of clickbait type videos and juice my numbers up, but it's kind of hollow because it's just people who, were enticed by some really funny thumbnail or by some title of a video, but don't really care about the substance of the channel and what I'm trying to build and do. And I'm trying to make a more substantial channel that really dives deep and does a more, lengthy discussion about progressive rock music. I'm trying to bring a little bit of that analysis and that kind of depth to the content, and I hope that's being felt by all of you out there who enjoy the channel. And I really just want to be a place to recommend new music for people who maybe thought prog was dead, but it's thriving and alive. And I love finding these hidden gems in the prog world. Many of them I found in 2023 and was able to bring towards the viewers on the channel. So it should be a fun year. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. The only thing that may cause a little bit of a break in the momentum of the channel, so to speak, is we're moving. Me and Jana are moving to a new house about midway through the year. The date keeps getting pushed out, but currently it's towards the end of May is when we're planning to move. So that might disrupt the channel for a few weeks as we figure out that whole situation and figure out a new setup and all that kind of stuff. So you might see a slightly new wall behind me and new decorations and things like that as we move to the new house and whatnot. I'm also going on the Cruise to the Edge in March, so there might be a week or two where things are a little bit lighter because I'm on a cruise ship and unable to post videos, but I'm sure after the cruise we'll have a ton of content to come out from what we experienced on the cruise, maybe posting some videos we took of some bands on the cruise. So that should be a lot of fun for people to watch and witness. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the channel this last year. Hopefully you guys are excited for what's to come. And I hope you like this idea of the Prog band per month thing. It's really exciting to me, and I'm really interested to see the interest level from you guys and if you guys will enjoy that or not. So thank you guys so much for all the support. It's been a really incredible year, and I'm really hopeful for the channel in the future. This has been just a dream to put these videos out there and to be able to connect with people and see the interest level, and it's been a great experience. So I really credit that to all of you out there and for all the things you've done to support the channel. I really appreciate it, and I'll hopefully catch you guys throughout the year. Thank you, and goodbye. Enjoy the music, everybody.